It's officially apple season here at the Pickwick Place. I am in our U-Pick apple orchard and I just picked a peck of apples, and I'm gonna head back to the kitchen and we're gonna make 2 different dishes with these apples. Yum. Am I in the fray? Wait, why didn't that go on? Don't worry, I know how to use it. There we go. So today we're gonna make one of my favorite sweet apple dishes and a savory apple dish as well. So that's one of the many reasons I love apple season. You can use them not only in desserts, obviously, but also they pair very well with chicken and pork. For the sweet apple dish, we are going to be making apple crisp shortbread bars. So this is kind of a gourmet take on the traditional apple crisp. So they are in bar form and they have a delicious buttery shortbread bottom, and then like the apple crisp on top of that. So to get started, I've got my oven preheating at 325 and my 8-inch square pan lined with parchment paper, and we're gonna head over to the mixer to make our shortbread crust. In our stand mixer, we're gonna add butter, sugar, and vanilla and let that go on medium speed until incorporated. I'm gonna scrape the sides down a little bit, and then we are going to add 1 cup of flour and a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, or I don't have cornstarch today, but I'm gonna use arrowroot powder, same thing. And we're gonna mix that again until incorporated. Alright, so we are finished with our crust. You can kind of see it's crumbly, but that's how shortbread should be. So I'm going to put it into my prepared pan, and then we're gonna press it down along the bottom, and we're gonna bake it in our preheated oven for 15 minutes. While our crust is baking, we're gonna go ahead and make our apple filling. In our bowl, we're gonna add apples, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a couple tablespoons of sugar, and a couple tablespoons of flour, and this is gonna make our apple filling to go on top of the crust. Okay, to this I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of water, and we're gonna give this a stir. So depending on what kind of apples you are using, you could do a little bit less sugar if you're using a sweeter apple. I did about 1.5 tablespoons because I am using Galas, which are a little bit of a sweeter apple. If you're using more of a tart apple, you can use 2 to 3 tablespoons. The last component to this is the topping. This resembles the apple crisp, so it's got the oats in it. So to my bowl, I'm going to mix a 1/4 cup softened butter, a 1/3 cup of old-fashioned oats, a little pinch of cinnamon, and a 1/3 cup of brown sugar. So either with a pastry blender or the back of a fork, combine all this together, get the butter mixed in. It's gonna resemble coarse crumbs when you are done. Our crust is finished, so we're gonna go ahead and pull it out. And yum. We are going to go ahead and bump up our temperature to 350 for the second baking that these guys are gonna get. So now we're going to add our apples and cinnamon mixture directly on top of the crust. So it might seem like a lot of apples, but go for it all. All right. Every last one. Now we're gonna top it with our oat and brown sugar butter mixture, and we're just gonna kind of crumble this on top of the apples. We're gonna stick it back in the oven for another 30 minutes or until the apples are kind of baked down and soft. 30 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and get started on the savory dish now. So I don't even know if this dish has a title, but my mother-in-law, kind of when Ethan and I started dating, has made this recipe, and it has been one of our favorites. So it is 3 ingredients, super simple. It's pork chops on the bottom, and then apple pie filling, which we're gonna make next, and then stuffing on top, and you bake it all, and it is an easy supper that's very good. So we are making our own apple pie filling. You could also buy this at the store if you're in a pinch, but it's apple season, so we're gonna make our own. So into our saucepan, we're just gonna add apples, a little bit of sugar and cinnamon, and let that break down and soften the apples. All right, we're gonna let this simmer on low heat, probably about 15 minutes. The apples should start to break down, just depending on what type of apples you're using. Will kind of depend on how long it'll take, but just until the apples are tender and soft. So at this point, we're gonna create a cornstarch slurry, which is just water and a little bit of cornstarch, and we're gonna add that, and that's just gonna help thicken our filling a little bit, so it is more like apple pie filling. Mix the cornstarch with a little bit of water. This just helps dissolve the cornstarch before you put it in so it doesn't get chunky. Okay, pour that in, and that's gonna help thicken our filling. So while that's going, we are making a box of just stovetop stuffing. So I've got the water and butter boiling. We're gonna add the mix soon, but while that's going, we're also going to sear our pork chops. So add just a little bit of oil. So I've got 4 pork chops, and we're just gonna lightly sear this on both sides, and we're gonna put it in the oven, so it's gonna finish cooking in the oven. So the goal is just to get sides browned. So just for like 1 to 2 minutes on each side, and then we'll flip it. All right, we're gonna remove this from the heat and let it stand covered for 5 minutes. All right, so we are ready to put this together. So we have our 3 ingredients, the pork chops, apple pie filling, and our stuffing. So we're gonna take our seared pork chops and put them in the bottom of our pan. Then put our apple pie filling. See how easy that was to make rather than buy it. Just evenly spread these over top of the pork chops. Eat all the goodness. Spread it over. Got it. And then we're gonna top it with the stuffing that we made. We're gonna stick it in the oven, preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes, and we'll temp the pork chops to make sure they are done. Depending on how thick your pork chops are, it may take a little more, a little less than that. All right, so our timer just went off for our apple crisp shortbread bars. So we're gonna go ahead and take a lick to see if the apples are soft. All right, these apples are definitely fork tender, so they are finished. We're gonna let them just cool a little bit, and we're gonna top them with a little bit of caramel and plate one of these guys up. So this buttery crust, that's the best part. So I'm gonna get a nice big piece of that. This is 2 thumbs up, not just 1.
All of your meals, you give 2 thumbs up.
All right. We're gonna temp these guys and make sure they're done. And at this point, if they are not done, if I have to put them back in, I'm gonna go ahead and cover it with foil just so the stuffing doesn't brown anymore on top. All right, put my battery back in. We're done. Dinner is served. Let's eat. This is a winner.
1 thumb, 2 thumbs.
Yep, the apple filling, homemade apple filling. Took it to 2 thumbs. All right, so there are some options using locally grown apples, and hopefully you have a good fall enjoying lots of apples this year. All right, that's a wrap. Maybe. Okay, there we go. This is a 1-day project, not today. And you shut it. But sometimes I'll see like chefs like cooking shows. It's still steaming hot.
Yeah.
And they put it in their mouth and they like chew it politely, not like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Oh, that's fun. It's a spider. Oh, the spider's right there. Goodbye, little friend. Oh. The whole apple went in the garbage disposal. Oil, and then I'm ready. oil. I forgot to get oil. This will work. Okay. I lied. Now I'm ready.
Get mixed signals.